Are you empty? You are empty.
All right, we're live.
Oh, perfect.
Everybody, welcome back to the third official Toyota Tuesday. I'm Brian from Sixth Gear Garage, and here's my co-host Clinton from Dirt Garage.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So, if you are a repeat viewer here, you notice we were going to switch the channel or the show back and forth between Dirt Garage and Sixth Gear Garage. But Clinton is very deep invested into this 2UZ swap. So
Yeah.
he's been out in his cold garage wrenching a lot. So I've been doing the hosting instead of having him spend time setting it up because there is some trial and error there. But,
Yeah. Well, I was literally, you can see my hand is still filthy. I was working on my truck literally until like half an hour ago and I came in to get set up for this. So, yeah. Busy schedule over here.
So how's that going?
Pretty good. I'm still waiting for the flywheel I've been waiting for the last month. But it's mostly wired now. Starter turns on. Today I added a relay for the coils and another relay for injectors, and I've tested they both got switched power. And yeah, the computer needs power and the computer needs switch power, and then it should be pretty much ready to start now once I have a flywheel. Which should be here Friday, according to my tracking. So
Hopefully it arrives this time.
yeah, hopefully it actually arrives no problems this time. I should be able to get her going this weekend.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So we were just talking before we went live about the temperature up there. So now he's in Celsius, but he'll convert it into Fahrenheit. Now here in Ohio, it's been pretty cold. The high was about 20 today, and it's going to get real cold this weekend. It's going to get down to like 0, -2 or something like that for the low. Now tell them what it is up there.
Okay, so it's been hovering around -20 lately, which is not bad. It's I put it in Google here, which is converted to -4 Fahrenheit, and yeah, that's the high.
Yeah, and you're outside working in your non-heated garage.
In my non-heated garage, yeah, and it dips around 30 at night, the lows, which is -22 Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's extra cold in the shop when I get out there first thing in the morning, but it becomes workable. Just wear your winter coat when you're outside and you're good.
Man, I would be wearing like 4 coats and 3 snowsuits, and
Yeah.
I would not live actually. I probably would get hypothermia or frostbite.
I only had to come in the house once today to warm up my feet.
Only once? Jeez.
Only once, yeah. That's the only thing that really gets cold is my toes. Need to come and warm up. But when you're working on stuff, you don't really notice it as much as long as you're staying busy.
I guess, man. But for me, I got to wear like some super thick gloves, and then I'm trying to like hold bolts and stuff, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out. But
Yeah.
I like to be outside working in my garage if it's like 40 degrees Fahrenheit or above.
Yeah.
If it's
I
under
mean,
40 degrees, I'm not out there for long.
I like working in plus temperatures too, but
You have that option.
just don't have the option right now.
Got some let's see, questions already here.
Yeah, there's stuff rolling in already.
Yeah, well, we won't get too far behind. We'll knock a few out here.
Yeah, you ain't got a wood stove in your shop. No, I don't. I have 2 wood stoves. Neither of them are installed in the shop because stove piping and stove insulation is really expensive. I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. And yeah, I don't know how to install it. I'm sure it'd be pretty straightforward, but I want it to be legal. So
Let's see. Here we go. Does a 85 Toyota have a 4-bolt or a 6-bolt for the stick shift? I'm trying to think. I feel like it's been a while since I took one apart, but I feel like they're all 4 bolts. Let's
Yep.
see. Beer is cold. Yeah, I'll say that's a good thing about the beer being cold.
Oh, yeah,
You
absolutely.
probably have the problem where if you leave them out there too long, they'll explode.
yeah, absolutely, that happens too.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my wife brought me a coffee because she worked at Starbucks when she finished work. into the shop, and I put it down and kind of forgot about it for like an hour. Came back and it was slush. Yeah.
Ordered a Marlin crawler inner axle seal for my '84. Do I put in the freezer too? Yeah, actually, that's a good tip to talk about. I mean, I don't know if this works for you up there because all the stuff you work on is already frozen. But down here,
Right now.
yeah, if I'm doing something that has a seal, I have to drive in to like the axle or
Yeah.
something like that. You just pop it in the freezer for 10 minutes and it'll actually contract a tiny bit.
Oh,
Of course, that only works if your workspace is above freezing. So,
see, I've done this before, not with seals. I've never had to have seals. Axle seals in particular, I got a race driver set that, and one of them fits perfectly over it, and I hammered it in. I've ever had issues with that. But stuff like the input shaft on my transfer case, I put that in my freezer and then take a torch and heat up the bearing a little bit, and they slip over because it's impossible to get them over each other without doing that. But yeah, I know the trick of heating stuff up, but I've never heard of doing that on seals. But
yeah.
it makes sense.
Let's see here. We've got a 85 single cab Toyota on a 6-inch lift and 35 by 12 and a half 15. Nice. That's a good size for a 6-inch lift. 35s.
Yeah.
And that should pretty much, at least on the second gens pickups, avoid any rubbing too. I had to massage my the back of my front fenders a little bit.
Really?
Take that seam down a little bit. But
Because my brother's 85, we didn't. It doesn't have a 6-inch lift. We put rears up front, which I guess pushes the axle forward a bit. But he runs 37s without rubbing,
oh really?
and it's maybe 3 inches of lift.
Nice.
Yeah, it rubs on the leaf springs, but I mean, you have to adjust the stops out, and it's fine. My truck also rubs on the leaf springs, and turns like a freaking boat.
Yeah. Now, what lift do you have on your truck?
So I run the Trail Gear 3-inch lift springs up front with 2 leaves removed. That so that it articulates better and so that it rides better also, and it keeps it a little bit lower. And in the rear, I've got 2-inch Old Man Emu lift springs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all you need for 37s, huh?
I also have a 2-inch body lift.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a non-body lift truck, the Trail Gear lift springs are plenty. The 3 inch is all you need for 37s also. At least for the solid axle swap guys.
Now,
My
go ahead.
say my buddy Brian, there's a video on my channel where we put a rough country, just a drop bracket lift in I think his is a 93 or 91. Either way, a 3rd generation Toyota pickup, and he's running 35s on that. And yeah, it's no rubbing or anything whatsoever with 35s.
How does that 2-inch body lift help you on your 2UZ swap?
It helps a lot.
Could you do it without that?
It might be possible, and probably is possible, especially with an IFS vehicle. A solid axle swap vehicle, I'm not too sure.
Okay.
My oil pan barely has enough clearance. Whereas if you're IFS, the front axle is fixed, so you can have it almost touching your front axle, and it's not going to flex up and smash the oil pan. So yeah, on mine, the transmission tunnel, or the bell housing to the transmission tunnel, has like this much clearance. Like it barely fits. And that's with a body lift. I got it tucked that high, and just barely have enough oil pan clearance with a factory rear sump 1UZ oil pan. And even then, it didn't fit because if you saw my video, I actually had to notch the oil pan because my pumpkin would definitely come up and smash it. So, yeah. Yeah. There is companies that make a true rear sump kit or rear sump oil pan kit, but I already purchased the 1UZ factory rear sump, and it was like $400, and I didn't want to waste it. I'm like, well, I'll make this one work instead of spending another $500 on a kit to have a true rear sump.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Catching back up. I think this is the most viewers we've had so far this early in the show. So
Sweet. Oh, sweet.
yeah, a lot of you guys coming back week after week, so that's cool.
Hmm.
We got where were we? Where were we here? SR5 cluster swap on an 84, 88, 89 pickup 4Runner. I feel like we might have brushed on this question, and the answer is there's a couple important steps you have to do. The main one is you have to use the SR5 oil sensor, oil pressure sensor on the block, or else you will blow some sort of transistor or something.
You'll blow the actual gauge.
Yeah.
The oil pressure gauge. I've got a video on this.
Oh,
I don't
good.
know if you do, but I'll throw that in the chat.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing you have to do, and then I guess depending on the truck that the SR5 cluster came from, whether it be auto or manual, you may have to do some repinning.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't have to do any repinning on mine,
Okay.
and it was an auto truck. But maybe in the earlier years.
Yeah.
My 89 specifically, I didn't have to. But that being said, not every truck is wired, has the wire for the tack. Some vehicle, or I don't know exactly what trucks did and what trucks didn't. Some trucks you just plug it in, it works just fine. Other trucks you need to actually run a tack wire.
Yep, and I know on the 84 to 88s, that wire comes out. There's I think a plug up under the hood on the driver's side, right near the igniter. It's
Yeah,
up
see,
that way.
I did mine when it was a 3.4, and the 3.4 it got the tack signal from the black wire at the very far side of the igniter. I tapped right into the igniter to get it.
Okay.
And yeah, that worked just fine. Where is this video? I've got a lot of videos.
So,
but yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't say for sure how to do that exact swap because I have not done it yet. It's on my to-do list one of these days, but I have the cluster. The only thing is, I tried the cluster in a truck that also had a cluster, and some of the stuff didn't work on it.
So, Brian,
Yeah.
we have kind of talked about how I've gotten into Toyotas on previous episodes. I want to hear your story. What yeah, what made you get into the hobby of Toyota specifically?
Well, I needed a truck. We bought our first house, and I was always having to borrow a truck to go to, buy wood or whatever I was working on. And then by the time you fill up your buddy's gas tank or buy him a case of beer, it's like I could have bought a cheap truck, after a couple of years. So I was looking around at just like, something older, something 80s.
Yeah.
Seen some F-150s and just stuff like full-size type trucks. And
Yeah.
then one of my buddies, he is into Suzuki Samurais.
Yeah.
He had a couple of those, and he lived in a lot of woods and stuff. And had some good trails cut out. And I went out with him once, driving around with him in the woods in his little Samurai buggy, and I was like hooked. I'd never been off-roading before. I was like, this is fun, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was into drag racing and autocross, but this is fun because you pack a cooler and you're out in the woods all day. You're not around any people. It's just like wheeling is just, it's fun.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I wanted to join him. So I started looking at a small truck like a Toyota. And
Yeah.
That's kind of where it began. I looked at a few.
Nice.
And then I found the one I have. I actually have a video on the story of how I got it. But
Yeah.
it was just kind of like I wanted to complete my task of getting something to improve our house, make the wife happy, and also get a truck that would be basically a toy for me. And that was
Nice.
it.
Sweet.
And then it was
So,
addiction.
oops, sorry. Yeah. Oh, it's totally an addiction. I'm going to double back to where you said your first time out wheeling or off-roading. It's kind of a unique experience, and I love taking people who've never been into it or know anything about it out for their first time because of the kind of like awe factor of it. because I mean there was a point in time when I looked at a wall of rock and go, you can't drive anything up that. There's not a chance. And then absolutely blowing people's minds by double low locked front and rear, and then just creeping up like at literal walls. It's interesting, and I've definitely blown a few of my friends' minds, anyways.
Yeah,
But
that's how I was too. He was taking this thing. It had a low gear in the final drive, so it was basically like, you know,
yeah,
go up anything. He was going up all kinds of steep stuff, and I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, we're gonna, slide back down. We're not gonna make it, and I was pretty impressed.
yeah,
So, those
yeah.
are fun vehicles. I'd consider buying one, but
Oh
the
yeah,
prices on those are already like just shooting up, at least around here.
just like
Just like
Toyotas.
Toyotas. Yep. Which
Yeah,
you gotta wonder. I think your generation, the third gen trucks, are going to be the next thing to shoot up. That's what it seems like.
I think so. Yeah, they have to.
Yeah,
um,
you
the
almost
difference between the Toyota and like the Suzuki's is the Suzuki. There's barely any Suzuki's left too. Like to find, for me to go find a parts truck, it's pretty easy to go find somebody who's got a completely rotten one, letting it go super cheap. Whereas the Suzuki's, there's barely any of them around anymore. Period, because they've all rotted out, or they just weren't as popular and didn't sell as many back when they were brand new. But either way, to find parts for them, I'd imagine would be a lot harder than like us in the pickups. But
yeah. Well, didn't those get
I would imagine,
Oh,
I'd imagine that helps keep them expensive too.
yeah, yeah. I'll see some around here, but they're all, like you said, rusted apart and whatnot. But
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a clean one.
no, no, me neither.
Like, whereas the Toyota trucks, you do actually tend to find clean ones every once in a while. I mean, there's a dozen junk ones before you find a clean one, but
Yeah,
they still exist.
yeah,
And it probably all has to do with how long it was garage kept by previous owners and stuff like that. Just how well previous owners have maintained it, anyways.
right.
But
Yeah,
my truck, I'm the third owner of.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, so I think that might have help uh, keep mine in really good shape before I bought it. So yeah,
Yeah, I want to say I'm a third owner of mine too. Maybe fourth. I looked it up on
yeah,
Carfax one time, but
that's exactly how I found mine out.
yeah.
Was car proof is what they call it in Canada,
Oh,
but
you guys don't have Carfax,
it's
huh?
no, it's same company though.
Oh,
They just call it car proof in Canada. I don't know why.
that's actually good though. We have the dumbest commercials. It's called Carfax, but like in the
Yeah.
commercial, it's a car, it's a fox. You probably never saw them.
Oh, yeah, I actually have seen
Yeah,
those.
it's like, come on, guys, like who'd you hire to do your advertising?
Yeah. Uh,
Let's see. Does a 1985 Toyota 22R have a Smog pump? No, it does not. Jose. Value. What's the value of a decent early 90s to late 80s pickup? That's a wide range. Um, Again, you're talking late 80s, so you're talking, I assume, 89 to,
so third
yeah,
gen,
third
yeah,
gen.
95.
There are still deals out there, but I'm going to hand this one to Clinton because I've actually never really priced one out.
All right. Well, I paid 4,000 for mine in 2014, and it was clean then. The one before that was a 91, and it was even cleaner, the most immaculate thing I've ever seen in my life as far as those old Toyota pickups. And I paid 6,500 for it. These are Canadian dollars, by the way. So, and I think our dollar is 75 cents. So, yeah, take off 25% of my numbers and you'll figure out what USD is. But like, we've gone through a lot of third gens on the channel, and my buddy Mike, he got one for $400. But the reason he was selling it or he bought it It's because the guy he bought it from thought that the engine was going when really it just needed a fuel pump. So if you find you can get really good deals if you find something that has like minor problems or even major problems if you don't mind swapping engines and stuff, which we didn't. Even if it had a dud engine, we would have just thrown another 3 liter in it. But even then, if you're looking for a clean bodied rig, my friend Corey, who has the budget build solid axle swap truck on my channel, he bought a 94, I think it is, but it had an immaculate cab, an immaculate box. It had a 22RE, but it was not running. He just bought it as a pro or in a it was somebody else's project truck. So the interior was completely gutted. It was barely complete, but all the important stuff was there. But yeah, he paid, I think it was $2,000 for that.
That's still,
Pretty much just for the body and frame.
yeah.
But once again, the frame was completely clean, not a speck of rust on it. The cab doesn't really have any rust on it at all. It just got painted too. So, yeah. But then again, yeah, 1,900 bucks, 2,000, whatever he paid for it. So 1,400, 1,500 bucks just for a cab.
No,
It varies. Honestly, it does, depending on how much work you want to do to it. But yeah, if you want to just buy a clean one that you can just get the keys and drive and have not worry about rust, you're looking at like $5,000 to $6,000 in Canada at least.
that's probably about right. I would say
Yeah.
about the same here. Yeah, because you can get pretty rough ones
Hmm.
for 1 to 2 grand, and then like you said,
Yeah.
price goes up from there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, now is the time to buy because watch once
Yeah, buy it now.
yeah buy it now because the second gens are getting really too expensive to even buy to use as an off-road toy or a trail rig. I think
Yeah.
third gen is going to be the next one to go up in value.
Yeah, and they will. That being said, my brother got his 85. He traded it straight across for a 22, like a rifle. So
That's a pretty good
that
deal.
was a pretty good
Yeah.
deal. But I've talked to you about it. I think the frame ended up being a complete rotten piece of garbage. So we had to do a bunch of work on that. But you get what you pay for. The body was clean, which is nice. Factory solid axle, which was nice. It had a 22RE, which was kind of nice until it wasn't. And now it's got a 3.4 and a new frame. So, well, new to us, back half of a frame.
Yeah, I mean, just that solid axle alone was worth what he traded
It was
for.
worth the trade,
Yeah.
yeah, 100% it was.
Yeah.
The solid axle, the W56, and the gear-driven transfer case.
Yeah,
So, actually, the W56 was trash. We found out later. Fourth gear was blown out, so we had to swap it. But that actually seems to be a common problem in those trans. I know several people who had fourth gear blowout on those or give out on those. I don't know if you've experienced that yet or not.
I have not actually.
Oh.
I've got the G series in my truck.
Oh, okay.
The weaker one, but
Yeah. Is the G series the one that has the forward shift T case attached to it?
yes, yep.
Yeah.
That's why everybody wants the W's because you can put on your extra
Yeah,
transfer.
your different trans. You don't need to convert it to top shift
Right.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually got a G series tranny sitting in the snow outside my shop now because we took it from that $2,000 rig I was just talking about that Corey bought. But it's useless to us.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody would want it, but
Oh man, we got a lot of questions here today.
oh really?
Where were we?
23 people on.
Oh, here we go. Okay, Jose, my color code for my 85 is not a Toyota color. It's actually a Ford color. I got the paint for free, so I couldn't really complain. It's off of a F-150. I think it's like a maybe around 2000 F-150. It's called Vermilion Red, and I don't know like the actual code for it, but that's the color name. And it's a little bit brighter than the stock red.
So did they paint around like inside the engine bay and everything for you too, or is it
No, they did the door
no?
jams, but not
They
the
did.
engine bay.
You'd probably never really notice,
No,
anyways.
it's not.
You'd probably open the hood and just assume it's faded from heat cycles in there. So.
Yeah, or just covered in dirt.
Yeah, or covered in dirt. Inside my engine bay is still all white from when my truck was white. I wasn't gonna go through the effort of pulling the engine when I painted mine.
Yeah, you did like a
Um,
cement gray or something, didn't you?
yeah, cement gray.
Okay.
I didn't clear it though,
Now, what kind of paint
so it
was that?
doesn't. It's 1H5 is this code. It's I got it mixed at the auto parts store here.
Oh, okay. So it's like
Yeah.
a single stage, like actual professional spray paint. Not aerosol, but like.
No, I got it put in aerosol
Oh, you
cans
did.
actually. Yeah, I got them to mix it in
Oh,
aerosol
nice.
cans, and yeah, it's I did a primer coat, and then yeah, I did the actual paint, but I didn't clear it, and the reason being is touching it up later. If I cleared it, as soon as I get a scratch or whatever, and I need to touch up an area, and I just spray down another layer of the paint because I got 4 extra cans on top of what I ordered originally. And yeah, I'd literally just touch it up with the spray can in 2 seconds, and it blends in, and you never know that I touched it
Oh,
up.
that's
And I've
awesome.
done that several times to my truck.
Nice.
The fiberglass fenders in particular, when they bend, the paint doesn't bend and just cracks and chips off. So every once in a while, I have to touch those up. That's probably the most touched up area of my truck is just the front fenders, but they rub on trees more often than any other body panel. But
So how many
yeah,
cans did it take to do your truck?
I think a dozen.
A dozen. Okay, and these are
Yeah,
like 12-ounce cans, I'm assuming.
I have no idea.
Okay, that's pretty
Just
good
your
then.
average spray can size.
Yeah.
It's $9 a can, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I said I ordered. No, I ordered 16, and I ended up with 4 extra when I was done. So yeah, I had no idea how many I was going to use. I was more or less guessing. And yeah, that's full cab and the box.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did. I had no idea that was an aerosol job because it
yeah,
looks so
you
good.
honestly, even in person, you'd never know that it was an aerosol job, and you'd never be able to see the touch ups. I'm super impressed with the paint.
Yeah.
It helped that I used a gray primer, so the I didn't have to use as many coats of the actual paint either. So it worked out really good.
Nice. You have a video on that?
I don't
Okay.
know.
For some reason,
um,
like I'm always impressed when you get like good results from aerosol.
Yeah, I've got videos. I don't have videos of the actual painting process of it. I've got videos from around when I was painting it and assembling it and disassembling it, but I didn't show the painting itself. Um, I don't actually know why I didn't, but it was all done outdoors in my driveway at the time and backyard. um, and it was like a week from winter, like when we were starting to get freezing temperatures. So I like,
Whoa, that's
I was motivated to get it done because. So the reason I painted it in the first place is because I did a bunch of body work on it because it had to pass an inspection after it got pulled off the road. Because in Canada, anyways, you can't have any perforation in the cab. Otherwise, it's not road legal.
oh, that's strict.
Yeah, yeah. You need to get busted for it, and it's generally not that enforced.
Okay.
Like you're not going to get pulled over unless it's a massive amount of rust. But yeah, if you have holes in the actual cab or passenger compartments of the vehicle, yeah, it would not pass an inspection.
So there,
But yeah, if you had a hole in your box, you'd be fine.
okay, but like if you had a hole in your rocker panel, they
Yeah, that wouldn't pass.
wow, most of my trucks
So I had to do.
would not pass.
But yeah, I did a bunch of body work. I fixed my rockers specifically to go through an inspection, and after that, I painted it for that.
Nice. I know
Yeah,
in the U.S. it's by state. I think PA is real strict. If you have a rust
yeah,
hole in the body of your vehicle in Pennsylvania,
yeah.
you're not going to pass inspection. But here
Hmm.
in Ohio, we have no inspection. I'm pretty sure Michigan's the same way. So you can drive. I mean, whatever hoopty rust bucket you have on the road, and you're not going to get
Yeah,
pulled over unless like your brake light's out or your headlight's not working.
yeah. So, we don't have like a mandatory inspection thing for vehicles, and you can run whatever you want until you get caught with something. Like, my truck ended up getting pulled off the road because of the solid axle swap. Um, so somebody tipped off this officer. This is a long story that my truck was solid axle swap and had welding done to the frame. So I got pulled over specifically for that. Other than that, I almost had no reason to be pulled over. There, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't. My bumpers were road legal height. My headlights were road legal height. I had mud flaps. All my lights worked. Everything. But yeah, and then I ended up getting pulled off the road or given an inspection slip. And I knew it was bad because as soon as the officer pulled up to my window or walked up to my window, he asked me to step out because the tow truck was already called.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I've never heard. So
because yeah, as soon as you get the inspection, you're getting towed away. You can't drive it to your house or whatever.
it's ironic because everybody is so like chill and laid back up in Canada, but if you modify your vehicle and someone
Yeah,
tattles on you,
yeah,
calls the police and says, "Hey, he modified his frame or he put a solid axle
yeah,
swap," they'll come over
yeah,
and they'll find you and pull you over and tow you.
yeah. It's happened to me. Yeah. So there's a long story behind it, but that I'd rather not get into.
All
But
right,
yeah,
that just seems
it's happened.
that just seems crazy because like I guess here I did get pulled over one time right after I bought my truck. I was still daily driving
Yeah.
it with the 35s on it, and I pulled out onto a divided highway right in front of a state highway patrol. Which, if you guys are from
Hmm.
Ohio, you guys know they're the ones that are going to get you for something like this. And it was my bumper height. Well,
Oh,
I
okay.
had no rear bumper, so that may
Uh,
have been it. So you measure my front bumper, and I think it was like 13 inches too high or something like that, or higher than it should have been. So he just gave me a warning, and then I bought those 33s and put them on for daily driving, and I never got
yeah.
pulled over again for
On
height.
second pan was just roll pan not an option, like a dealer option.
Um, on the second gen, there was an optional rear bumper,
Yeah,
just like there was an optional passenger side mirror, but
yeah,
like pretty much the bed was the rear bumper.
yeah. That's this bizarre to get pulled over for it when you'd be able to argue that it was a factory option.
Yeah, yeah,
In a lot of cases, you would get away with that here if it was a factory option not to have a rear bumper. The counter argument is the truck wasn't lifted 6 inches or whatever when it came from the
right.
factory. So if you're heavily modified, you probably wouldn't get away with something like that. It's like my truck didn't come with front mud flaps, but it needed front mud flaps to pass an inspection because, I mean, it didn't have 37-inch tires that stick out from the factory. um, but yeah,
Yeah, if I got rear-ended, no matter if it was 2 miles an hour, I wouldn't be
yeah.
driving away because it would hit my rear axle. But yeah, I never knew Canada was strict about that. Is that
Oh yeah, I can't. We're super strict about vehicle mods and stuff.
interesting?
At least in British Columbia.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Back to some comments here.
All right.
Just solid axle swapped and did 4 inch, and it's not that high.
Nice.
Yeah, I've actually never done a solid axle swap on any of my Toyotas. Any IFS truck that I got was just too rusty to bother even trying to do anything with.
I think I've done 3 now.
Nice. So you're pro.
Yeah. Well, I did mine twice. Um, so the solid axle swap kits has it so it welds to the bottom of the front cross member, like the hanger. But I wanted to lower my truck because it was too tall with that, so I cut out the front cross member, like the factory cross member, and left like a 1/4 inch of the factory cross member left, and sunk the hanger actually up into my frame rail. The hanger is actually 2 inches higher in the frame than it would have been with the factory kit. And that's because I had a body lift and wanted to keep it low because it was just too tall with the 3-inch lift springs, even with the leaves removed and the body lift. But
Let's see. Well, this might be a good one for you, Clinton. Alex just
All
got the
right.
5-inch trail gear springs up front and it sits too high. Thinking of
Yeah.
removing one leaf. Would you say just one leaf or remove two
I
on
mean,
either?
I'd go straight for two.
Straight
Yeah.
for two?
Yeah. It doesn't like it'll flex way better. It'll ride way better and it'll lower it. They maybe in the long run they might not last as long as if you had a full pack. But I mean, I guess it also depends on is it a daily driver or is it a wheeler or is it whatever else, right? But yeah. And I'm not the only one who, like in my crew, anyways, that removes the bottom two. Mike's truck that we recently did the solid axle swap on, we removed the bottom two right away off the brand new pack. Corey's removed the bottom two. We all removed the bottom two, and we're on the 3-inch pack. So we haven't experienced any issues with removing leaves from the trail gear stuff.
All right.
Hmm.
Another here. Go back to another spring question. I've heard lots of people say they always have issues with it being too high, and feel they are too weak. Yep, that's pretty much what we've learned tonight.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tom Jones. I put 4-inch rear Pro Comp springs. Took the overloads out up front on an 81. Superflex. OME 2.5-inch rear, 2-inch body lift. It rides better than stock. Nice. I will say, I've got a 4-inch Pro Comp on my 85, and the front ride's okay. I mean, it's about as good as you're going to get for a solid axle Toyota. But the rear does not ride great unless I've got it loaded up with gear, and that seems to be the perfect amount of weight to soften it up a bit.
Yeah, I got old 9E moves in the rear, and it's the same thing. The rear just rides rough. There's no weight on the in the box when it's unloaded, and it's just not ideal. But I'm gonna switch it up to Chevy 63s pretty soon, though, so maybe that'll make a difference.
Nice. I hope you
Mhm.
document that too.
I will.
Cool.
I mean, I currently have a video for that on my channel too, doing it to Corey's truck as
Oh,
well.
nice.
I've got videos covering a lot of that,
Yeah.
those mods. I don't record. I mean, because I've done that to a couple of vehicles, and I don't record every single vehicle we do it to because I'd already have a video on the process. So it might not be into as much detail when I do it on my own, and I might tie it into other mods. But
What would be cool
yeah,
is if you could find, I don't know, the exact same place or build some sort of, I don't know, ramp out of logs or something to show the flex
yeah.
before and after. That'd be nice.
I've been considering, building some sort of flex ramp for before and after tests because I think that would be a cool thing to add to the videos too, to show like actual real results that are directly related to the mod that we just did, like whether it's removing leaves from the front pack or Chevy 63s or whatever.
Um, what are some easy performance mods for a 22R? Well,
3.4 swap.
yeah. That's probably your best bang for the buck. Um, Actually, to go to the V6, the 3.4 swap on a 4-cylinder
Mm-hmm.
truck, you've got some extra work with the mounts, and
It's a fair bit of work,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a lot easier.
You need to get an R150. The R150 cross member and trans mounts bolt up to the 4-cylinder spot. Like that's the same. So it makes it really easy to figure out where you need to actually mount the V6 because you already kind of got it where it needs to be attached to the tranny, and then you kind of just mock up the mounts from there. It's not that hard. Once again, I got a video on that too. If any of you are interested in that, I think it's called 3.4 swap in 10 minutes or something because the video is 10 minutes long. And that was on a 1985 Toyota pickup.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But you want an easy performance mod. Well, I did a K&N, a drop-in replacement K&N filter on mine. It's not. I don't think there's any way to tell if it helped or not.
I
Yeah.
think stuff like that's more of a placebo effect,
I think so.
where you know what's there, so you think there might be more power, but
We have a suggestion from Tom. He says open the exhaust up, header 2.5 inch pipe. So there you go.
delete the cats,
Yeah, if you still have cats.
depending where you live,
Yeah, I actually still
and if
have
you still
cats on
have
my truck.
cats.
The
Yeah.
original cats. Yeah.
So my truck, my '89, it had a cat when I bought it. Literally the night I bought it, the exhaust broke right at the cat.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so it's like, well, that sucks. And I bought it like 6 hours away from where I live, so I had to take it to a muffler shop there, and they just deleted the cat, put in a straight piece there, and I think it cost me like $40 for them to get it done. So it
Nice.
wasn't that bad. But yeah, I got rid of my cat fast. 3/4 swap. I never ran cats, and the V8 swap. I have the full exhaust for the V8. I'm not running it. Obviously, it ain't going to fit on my truck. I'm building it custom from the headers back, but I also don't plan on running cats. I'm going to use the front O2s are going to plug into the manifold, and I'm going to use O2 simulators for the rear O2s to trick the ECM into reading them
Yeah.
so that it runs right.
Well, hey, back to the earlier topic of getting pulled over. If the
Yeah.
cops find out you swapped a newer V8 into your truck, is that going to raise an issue?
I don't think so. See, my truck already. So last time it got pulled over, it already had a newer engine in it. It had the 3/4 swap done, and supercharger, and they didn't care. They didn't know that it was swapped.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When it went for an inspection, they didn't care that it was swapped either. As long as it passes, like as long as there's nothing wrong with it, there shouldn't be any issue whatsoever.
And you,
Like as far as I know, it's not an issue at all. Who cares? I'm putting a more efficient engine in my truck
Right, yeah.
that's newer.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't make a difference.
it actually
But
pollutes
yeah,
less, even though it's a V8.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So as far as I know, there's no issues with that whatsoever. And my truck already passed an inspection with a motor that didn't belong in it. As long as it doesn't, I think it can't throw codes or meaningful codes anyways to pass an inspection. My truck did throw codes because it was an auto ECM. So I pulled the bulb so you wouldn't know that it had a code. And I also, my OBD2 is tucked up in the dash, so you'd never know that it ever had an OBD2.
Oh, nice.
So the shop couldn't have quickly thrown an OBD2 on to read it because they would go, oh, '89 Toyota pickup doesn't have an OBD2. Right. Doesn't have a check engine light. It's probably fine.
Nice.
But that and like the solid axle swap too. If you look at my solid axle swap, you would never know that it was solid axle swap. It looks like it belongs there. So that's like a cop would have to know those trucks and know that people solid axle swap them to really see you and go, oh, that guy's got a solid axle swap. And I'm pretty sure most of them aren't in the old Toyotas. And there's so many of the solid axle swap ones in my area now that it's becoming normal, which is great for me.
Yeah.
Because back when I was pulled over, I was like one of the only ones.
And I guess they just do that because like a safety issue, like somebody that doesn't know how to weld is going to put a bunch of bird poop welds on their hangers.
So yeah, legally, if you weld to your frame, it needs to get certified, and needs to pass a structural inspection. You need to take it to it's called ICBC, like our insurance, our government side of insurance here, and they have an inspection shop where they inspect it for structural integrity. And technically, mine I didn't get it certified because nobody does. It's something you do until you get caught, because it's almost impossible to get it actually certified.
All right.
So
This blows my mind because there's nothing like that here. It just
no.
here in Ohio, there are certain counties that have an emissions check. Usually, like the ones that are around a big city where lots of people live. So you'll have to pass the emissions, and if your car is OBD2, they'll just scan it to make sure there's no codes thrown. If it's OBD1, they'll put it on the dyno and put the tailpipe sniffer on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked
Oh,
about
that's
this
right. Yeah,
last time.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we've
having a
got
flashback here.
nothing like that here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So it blows my mind that they care about that in Canada. I guess
hmm
Canada really does care. They want you to be
it's it.
safe.
It's only some provinces, but yeah, I managed to get it to pass the inspection with all of its modifications. But it was like an 8 month process of doing little things. And on like a 30-year-old truck, there's so many little things. Like you can't have tears in your seats to pass an inspection. You can't have a fraying seatbelt with little things
Oh,
hanging off of it. So there's just so many like little things, right, that you would overlook in or any old truck. You go, well, of course it's got a torn seat,
sure.
right? So I had to get, I got custom, not custom, just SEC Northwest makes seat covers that are made specifically to fit those trucks. So they're the best looking seat covers, anyways, instead of just putting generic ones in.
Mhm.
So I had to get those to pass the inspection also, because yeah, your seat can be torn, but if you cover it up, it's fine.
Yeah.
Apparently.
That blows my mind that they're that picky. But good to know, man. If I ever go to Canada, I may not I may not have my truck to leave.
You wouldn't get hassled in your truck.
No.
No. Normally, you need a reason to get pulled over.
Okay.
Like they're not, at least in my area, especially, they're not that picky on um, old trucks or lifted trucks or whatever. It's once again, it's only once you get pulled over for it. um, I might just because I'm in an area, a part of the province where it's smaller town, and almost every single truck on the road is a lifted truck. um, and technically, if you have more than I think it's 2 or 3 inches of lift, you have to go through an inspection also.
Oh wow.
But yeah, but once again, it's something that nobody
Right.
does.
Oh, I get a question. Jose asks, does anybody have a problem where you ship from first to second gear and third to fourth and reverse? Does the shifter hit the four-wheel drive stick and kicks it into fourth? So, and I'm assuming this is your 22R and everything is stock. That shouldn't happen. Um, I don't even think a sloppy bushing would allow it to reach
Move that far.
No.
No.
Um, I don't know why that would happen.
Unless you've got aftermarket um, knobs that are huge.
Yeah.
Corey's truck, he had aftermarket knobs that were huge, and the sticks interfered because of that.
Or maybe,
My truck, my sticks interfere because I got triple sticks, and it's completely custom system. They're not stock, but
yeah.
yeah. I just put a solution to that would be a short throw shifter if it's an actual issue, because I just put that in my truck too. The LCE Performance short throw shifter. It's nice. It changes my throw from like 8 inches with like it's the R150. I don't know about the W56 or the G series or whatever, but the throw is huge in those for what they are. And yeah, the LCE short throw shifter tightens it up to like 3.5, 4 inches of throw between gears, which I'm really excited for. Quick gear changes while going through the snow, so you don't lose your momentum. But I did it because my sticks were touching. That's the reason I did it. It was just added bonuses.
Do you know how to replace a rear brake seal or have a video? Are you
Brake seal.
talking about the cylinder on drum
Yeah,
brakes?
it's kind of what I would have assumed.
Yeah. I don't have a video to do that. I did my rear brakes before I recorded everything I did, so
Mhm.
hopefully it will be a long time before I have to do that again. 'Cause that's no fun. But yeah, I mean, it's drum brakes are drum brakes. You can pretty much Google how to replace drum brakes, and they're all the same.
Yeah.
If you're unsure, just get your phone and take pictures as you go, so you know which spring hooks to which part, and you'll be good.
Mhm. Yeah, and the drum brakes are super easy and cheap to rebuild too. Even the brake cylinders and stuff, they're super cheap on Rock Auto.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be surprised if they're even more than $20 for a brake cylinder.
Yep.
Brake cylinder.
Let's see. Who do we like to use for aftermarket parts? LCE, Marlin Crawler, low range off road.
Low range.
Yeah, all good choices. You've got an 85 22 RE 4x4. So yeah, those are all good choices. Depends on what you're looking to get done too.
Hmm.
I would say if you're looking to get some motor parts, definitely LCE 22 RE Performance. I bought from them before. They're a pretty good vendor. You want to add anything there?
No, you pretty much nailed
All
it.
right. Yeah.
Not much to add, but low range if you're looking for like the off-road parts, like builder parts and stuff like that. Like they sell the solid axle swap kits and they sell trail gear leaf springs and whatnot. If you're in Canada, trailgear.ca. So yeah,
Sixth gear needs some more off-road videos. I get, I get that
I
a lot.
agree.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that. So do I.
Need more 85 videos.
Yeah, the 85 has a small, but still has a crack in the frame. So I haven't
Yeah.
had it off-road, I think, since like 2017. Any like actual long off-road trips. So I need to get that frame fixed. I ran out of time last year, so 2021 will be the year. And then I feel better about getting it back off-road again. Let's see. Currently have Rancho shocks and looking to upgrade. Have you heard good things about Bilstein? Love your channels. Bilstein, I've heard a lot about on automotive applications. I think they might supply some OEM trucks as well. But I'm trying to think.
Bilstein is in all new Toyotas.
Okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all the new Tacomas and Tundras, 400s, they all use Bilsteins.
Okay, then I guess you can't go wrong.
Unless you're buying a TRD Pro, then it's Fox. um, I love Bilstein. Pretty much everyone in my crew use Bilstein. They ride great. They last forever, and they you can get them in all sorts of travel. Like I have mine are 10-inch front, 12s in the rear. The factory or the solid axle swap kits, the 3-inch I think comes with 12s in the front. But once again, because my hanger is Frenched into my front cross member, I had to run a shorter shock. But
Nice.
yeah, no, I like Bilstein stuff.
Well, there you have it.
It's a solid upgrade from Rancho for sure.
And if anyone watches what you put them through, then you know it's a good shock.
Yeah. Um, Mine actually, I was gonna say I've been running mine since I did my solid axle swap, but that's not true because I had to swap them out. But my rears are pretty much the same age of my solid axle swap, and yeah, they've been holding up great. They don't leak or nothing, so that's like 4 years on them, and they have a really good warranty too. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
So
Sounds like a good choice.
yeah, they're expensive, but it's one of those cry one or buy once, cry once situations.
Yeah. There's some things that you just don't want to cheap out on.
No, especially on solid axle vehicles, it's worth spending the extra money on good shocks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of off-road, Tom Jones says, great off-road videos lately from Dirt Garage. I got to agree with you there.
Thank you. It's been like a month of shop videos with the swap, but
Yeah. Can't wait till it's done, though.
I noticed there's paint on my arm that I've been picking off. If you're wondering what I'm doing. Oh, crap. We're almost at an hour.
I know. I'm trying to get us caught up here.
All right.
I know we had some topics to talk about in case things were slow, but we'll save that for another episode, I guess.
Sounds great.
Let's see. All right, we're going to kind of speed through these last ones here and get caught up. OEM front Burfields and axles versus beefier aftermarket ones. Any thoughts? If your truck's going to be driven on road, or it's your daily driver and weekend toy, I would just go with OEM quality. I wouldn't go with what's the chromoly ones.
Chromoly, yep.
Because those, although they're harder, they will wear faster under normal use. I would, Clinton, I think you have some experience with this, though.
Do you have a front locker?
Yeah.
And are you running 35s plus? That is really what it comes down to. If you have a front locker, you're going to be breaking the stocks like crazy. I've broken a few. Other people that I wheel with, we break them all the time. It's very normal. I have yet to upgrade to chromoly. I plan on it. The problem is I can go pick up another set of stock ones for $20 used, so it's easy just to slap them in and keep wheeling. So it's hard to justify the like $1,000 to buy chromoly ends and stuff, but I will eventually. It is on the list, and because I am sick of always replacing bursts, it's not like it's difficult. I've got the IFS hub mod on my truck, so it's super easy to actually get at the burr fields. I don't need to take the wheel bearings apart or nothing. The whole locking hub stays with the hub and everything. So,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It depends on what it's going on. If it's a daily driver, you're right. And you're not locked and you're running smaller than 35s, probably stocks is the way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have $1,000 burning a hole in your pocket and you have and you have a locker, chromoly.
I have factory ones on mine, and I'm on 35s, and I'm locked up front. But I don't beat on it too hard when I wheel it off road.
Have you ever broken
Never
one?
broken one. No.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
knock on wood.
Mine's
But
pretty beat. When I was underneath my truck working on my oil pan last week, I was looking at my front axle and it is just full of dents and massive gouges from dragging over rocks. I'm like, holy, this thing looks used. When I did the swap, I like sanded it down and 415'd it and then put rocker guard over top, made it look nice and fresh, and then now it just looks like it's been through war. But that's what happens when you rock crawl these things.
yeah, yeah, we don't have a lot of rocks in Ohio. It's mostly just woods and
Yeah.
hills and dirt and stuff.
We got lots of woods. We need to look for rocks, but I love rocks.
Let's see. Okay, in California, a decent first gen is going for 7 to 10,000, and you know that's rust free because you're in California.
Sounds about right here.
His 85 pickup has no rust at all. I'm jealous. I don't even want to hear that.
Frame two.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Is it common for an 84 Toyota solid axle not to have power steering? I think that's fairly common for because all 84s were solid axle, so I think if you have a lower equipped truck, it would be okay for it not to have power steering.
I've never seen one without power steering, first or second gens with factory solid axle. That very well could be a Canada thing to not or to have power steering only options, because we did get different options than you guys have in the states. For example, the smoker windows or whatever you call them. You know the one I'm talking about, the
I
little
love 'em.
wing windows. Those weren't a thing in Canada whatsoever, and that's a dead giveaway. Whether it's an American truck up in Canada, as if they have the little wing windows.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I want those so bad, just for AC
Yeah.
during the summer. But yeah, they're so hard to find.
Yeah, especially
Because
on the
yeah,
third
they
gens.
only came on American trucks,
Yeah,
and I don't know why, but that's just something that Canada never
that's
got.
weird. I'm learning so many weird things about Canada today. So yeah, it's not uncommon, and it's a pretty simple swap to install it. You would just need all the bracket, the pump, the lines, the box itself, and I think that would be it. The reservoir. I think we talked about this maybe last week or 2
We
weeks
talked
ago.
about high steer,
Oh, high steer. That's what it was. Okay.
yeah, which is also a worthwhile upgrade.
Yes. Yep.
Will be night and day with high steer with power steering to non-power steering push pull.
Yeah. Yeah. While you're doing it, you might as well. It'd be worth it.
Yeah,
Just my first Toyota, a second gen 87 with 22 RE for 5,000 Canadian. Need a new exhaust and head gasket done. Head gasket blew after buying it. Oh, okay.
oh, that
That
sucks.
sucks. Yeah.
I was to say 5,000 is a lot for something that needs a head gasket. But
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not terribly difficult to do on a 22 RE.
22 RE,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not.
Let's see. His 85 factory solid axle has power steering. Yeah, so does mine. And actually, every truck that I've owned has had power steering. So it must be a pretty common thing.
Yeah, said I've never seen one without.
When taking things apart, putting them back together, are there any guides or forums you look at when you're stuck? Um, we talked
You
about
got a
this.
Bible.
Yeah, I've got the Toyota Bible, the factory service manual. It's well worth its weight in gold. Um,
I believe in winging it.
yeah, I know you said that you are into Facebook groups more than forums. I'm into forums
Yeah.
more than Facebook groups. But any of those, whatever you prefer, is always a good chance to figure something out.
See, now I don't like Facebook groups as far as like mechanical questions and figuring out answers for stuff like that. I like Facebook groups for getting inspired by other people's builds. Like I like when people post the progress of their builds and stuff, or just just their rigs in general. It's good to see the variety.
Yeah, and then as I like to see all the pictures on Facebook too. That's
Hmm.
nice. Speaking of which, yeah, if you're unsure about putting something back together, just snap photos as you're taking it apart. That's what I pretty much have always done.
Photos, sometimes videos when it's hard to tell what you're looking at in the photos. Like if you're trying to remember how vacuum lines were
Oh
routed or
yeah.
whatever, take your phone and physically follow the vacuum
Yep.
lines exactly where they were, or just stuff like that. It helps tremendously.
Yeah. Or I've even drawn maps.
Or yeah, draw maps. That works too. And eventually you'll just get so familiar with it once you've worked on the stuff enough that you don't need to do any of that anymore. But
Let's see. Good exhaust system for an 85 pickup 22R. Again, I'd shop at any of those vendors we talked about earlier. They would all offer a good exhaust. You get what you pay for when it comes to an exhaust. So,
yeah, I've never actually bought like an exhaust system. I've always just kind of welded together my own
piece it together. Yeah,
through all the swaps. Yeah, exhausts are one of those things that can be pretty expensive, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on.
right.
You can do a pretty decent job yourself, especially if it's not a show car or a show vehicle. It doesn't need to have a fancy stainless V band um, system, but that's just me too.
No, I'm with you. Mine has
I'm also
been pieced together quite a few times.
Yes, same with mine. I'm also just too cheap to pay an exhaust shop to do stuff like that. I have a welder; I can make it work.
Here we go. Here's Henderson. Brian, do you want me to find you some first and second gen Toyotas? Start you a real sixth gear garage, especially in old Toyotas. Thing is, man, you're down. I forget where you're located. I just sent you. No, wait, no, I didn't send you the stickers. But if you're outside Ohio, half the time it's not worth driving 8 hours to get a rust-free frame, and unless you can get like a stack of them. So that's the only problem, is that there's just no good parts around here. But yeah, if you're within driving distance and you got some rust-free frames or beds, send me your address.
I would travel 8 hours for a clean frame or a bed
It's
for the right deal. I mean,
it's getting to that point.
they just don't exist around here,
Yeah.
especially beds. I went in. I actually priced out wheel arches today, like just the weld-in wheel arches around the box. It was like $230 Canadian a side. Like that's so much more expensive than it was a couple of years ago. Last time I looked into it, it's like you're almost at $500 just to patch an old bed. You could build a flat deck for that,
Right.
which is, I guess, why most people end up scrapping the beds and going flat decks. I don't know about Ohio, but here it's way more common to see these old Toyotas with flat decks than it is their actual bed. It's rare to find them with a bed.
It's about 50-50 here, and if they
Yeah,
do have a bed, it's usually has rustles in it.
yeah.
I'll send this your way, Clinton. Heard a lot of people not running bump stops on solid axle swap. What's your idea on that?
Never do that. So I've seen it personally where somebody doesn't run a bump stop, they hit a bump, their shock bottoms out, and it peels the shock hoop peels off the frame and pulls a bunch of the frame with it. Never run without a bump stop. You need the bump stop to stop it from bottoming out the shock and ripping your frame in half. It's yeah, just it's an overall bad idea, and I've seen it in person. And I mean, if you want picture or horror stories, just look online. There's lots of people who've made the mistake of not running bump stops. Sure, they might limit your tiny bit of flex, but they're there for a reason.
Let's see. I did the 3RZ swap, and it sat on my 22R transmission. Keep it easy by using the cab
Nice.
that came with the 2.7.
The cab that came up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. So 3RZ swaps are awesome, and they make about the same amount of power and torque as like a 3 liter V6. So if you have a 22RE, that is a totally worthwhile swap. And I don't know if the bell housings bolt up. They might, or you have to buy a special. Actually, no. I think Marlin makes a bell housing, don't they? They definitely make a 3RZ to R150. I don't know if you need to buy a specific bell housing to go to a W56 or whatever. But it's the same. Like if you're putting a V6 in a 4-cylinder, you need to make your engine mounts too. They don't bolt up.
Yeah.
But
Mark's got a 8622 RTE automatic. When he shifts to D and R, it feels like it jumps. What can it be? It could be a lot of stuff. I mean, you could have some slop in your U joints. You could have slop anywhere really in your drivetrain. I don't know. What do you got, Clinton?
I got nothing.
Got nothing?
My truck was also an auto tragic from the factory. And it did the same thing. It jumped when you put it in drive or reverse. I was never able to figure out what exactly it was. But going up long highway passes and stuff, that tranny would overheat on me all the time. So I don't know. Those auto trannies like behind a 3 liter and your RTE would be probably the same V6 auto tranny. They're just not good trannies. I don't know. I don't got a lot to say. Manual swap is the way to go, though.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so easy to do. So I'll talk about that for a quick second too. While we're here,
Let's do it.
when I did my manual swap, I paid $60 for my R150, and he included the pedals, the master, and the slave cylinder, and the lines to connect it. So yeah, $60 for all that, and then I just bought a brand new clutch with it. So it was like $300 to do the swap, and it can be done in like maybe 3 hours. Like it does not take long to do a manual swap in those old trucks. Even like the automatic clutch pedal bracket has the holes and stuff for the manual pedal, so it makes it very easy to see where you need to drill out your firewall for the master cylinder to actually go through. But yeah, definitely worthwhile to ditch the auto tragic.
And he also plans on going with 430 gears instead of the 529s. So, what size tire are you running on that? Just curious. Keep on going through some questions here since we're over an hour here.
Overtime.
Yeah. We'll rush through these last few here. Let's see. Yeah, hearsay, man. If I could find an easy way to get product and frames and beds from Louisiana to Ohio, man, I would be down. I'd bring them all up here. Okay. I don't see any more questions. Oh man, there's rust-free frames in California for $500. Yep, that's the only problem that I'm far away. There's a ton in Oregon too.
Someone said, when are you guys going to get a first gen? I'm 14 and have 2 of them. So there is a first gen coming to my channel. Stay tuned on that.
Nice.
My friend who had the 94 single cab that was diesel swapped decided he bought a first gen and moved all of the good from his 94, because it was already still at axle swap and everything, into the 81. So now it's got lower gears, lockers, and it's got all the trail gear suspension and everything in it. He decided to do that because there's so many third gens around, and especially like in my videos and in our crew when we go wheeling, there's just not as much variety anymore. Because I've converted everyone to Toyotas, and third gens have just been the cheapest to get into. So, yeah, well, there is a first gen coming to my channel. You'll see it in later wheeling videos and stuff. He's just buttoning up now.
Yeah, Mark had 31-inch tires, so I said definitely don't do 529s on 31-inch.
I don't think I'd go 430s either,
I'd
though.
go.
I'd go 456 because 456 is what came with the 31-inch tire package factory, at least in Canada.
Okay, yeah, maybe different up there.
Actually, 93 and up, or 93 to 95, came with 488's factory with the 31-inch tires. Yeah, I'd definitely go 456.
We got a few people just coming in. Thanks for checking in, guys. We were actually supposed to be done at 10. We're just wrapping up the last few questions, so we don't mean to peace out as soon as you enter the room. But we got a couple more. Speaking of that first gen question, there is, I think I might have mentioned this on a previous episode. There's one here in town for sale. It's an 81 long bed, and I've got my eye on it. I think once it's not, there's not a foot of snow on the ground, I'm going to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. You got a super chat.
I did, my first one. Thanks, Mark. That's the first one ever.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten one before, too. It was on a premiere.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have I seen anyone put Land Cruiser suspension and solid axle swapping a first gen? I really want to do this. I've heard of it being done, Tyler, but I have not seen it done in person. But the Land Cruiser axles, they are sought after for that reason. I don't know how much wider they are, but
yeah, so that would say that they're significantly wider than like the mini truck axles. It's not practical. They say it was in a first gen.
yeah, first gen.
Said?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really wide on that truck. I haven't heard of anyone swapping the suspension from that. Normally, the guys cut off all the coil bucket brackets and put the leaf spring hangers on them. But I've seen lots of people put Land Cruiser axles in their rigs. But yeah, it's generally pretty dang wide.
Yeah, if you did swap Land Cruiser axles, you'd go the 60 or 62 series. I wouldn't do an 80 because you're going to have to cut all that stuff off.
Sorry, when I'm thinking Land Cruiser axles, I'm thinking 80s because they're really the only ones that are worth swapping over the mini truck axles. The 60s, they're wider, but they still use the 8-inch ring and pinion, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So it's not any upgrade, except unless you want to be wider.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they're still 8-inch.
Let's see. If you do a lot of highway driving, go 430. If it's 60 miles an hour or lower, then 456.
Actually, in the 80 series rear axle, is the pumpkin in the center or is it offset?
It is offset the slightest bit. I'm talking like maybe a couple inches, few inches.
Because 60 series, it's offset a lot.
Okay.
Which is a downside to using 60 series. I don't in a pickup or in a swapped rig anyway, or in a solid axle swap, unless you're not planning on moving the rear axle over and you just want to use the front axle. But
yeah.
I've seen people cut up and re-tube the 60 series axles to actually center the diff. I think Joe Miller on YouTube, or the Dirty Burfield, that's what he goes by. His third gen pickup has 60 series axles in it. I'm pretty sure.
That's cool. I'll check that out.
And he had to do that. Yeah, he's got a podcast, the Dirty Burfield too. It's worth the listen. He's not local to me, but he's in the same province as me. He's on Vancouver Island.
All right. We got
FJ60 is way offset.
Okay.
And then he said the Dirty Burfield did a cool swap. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about.
All right, I think we're all wrapped up. Okay, his brother has a '96 Land Cruiser, and he wants the axles when he upgrades them. I'm curious, what are you going to upgrade the Land Cruiser axles to?
Yeah, like tons is
I
really the
don't
only
even
place
know.
you can go from there.
Yeah. Oh, I want to see that rig. Um, let's see. And Yoda Kid, he's got an '86 short bed frame that he's trying to give away for free with no rust. Jeez, man, you guys are killing me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
If someone can figure out a way, some sort of way to get these parts from the West Coast to the Midwest or East Coast, you will be filthy rich and you'll deserve every penny.
Causes my one JZ swap toy to pick up to burn clutch pressure plate every 3 months. Check Z and burn it out because it was constantly pushed on a little bit. But yeah, check that out. But you should feel slippage if that was the case too.
All right, and with that, we're going. Oh wait, he's got a. This is about the '96 Land Cruiser.
So yeah, he's gonna want to go tons for the Cummins engine.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
All right, well, is it about time to wrap it up?
Yeah, it is. We're running a little bit late, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for checking it out, and we'll keep you updated. Check my channel or Clinton's channel. If he has time next week, maybe he'll take an episode. If he's still out there, wrenching in sub-zero temps, trying to get the swap done, I'll probably
I'm
host it
very
again.
motivated. I want to go wheeling.
Really trying to get that swap done. So I may host again. We'll see. But thanks for stopping in and talking Toyotas with us, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks.
Have a good night.